Right at the last minute, I was just gonna put you up there by yourself and as payback, and be like, now you have to kind of own it.
Oh no!
Well, it's just us tonight.
Boys' night.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
We may have other hosts pop in. You never know. But for now, count on us. You know what? I did another show earlier tonight. I was on Left of the Box. And
what?
Yeah.
Neat.
And we were talking about lonely guys.
That's long overdue.
And man versus bear. I don't know if you've seen this, and relationships and stuff like that. And the right likes to exploit men who aren't in relationships for being, as a means of recruitment. But so we were reacting to articles and TikTok videos, and I have to tell you, I do not like those videos where they're just talking at you. I don't know who the fuck this person is. They're real close to the camera. They're giving you their point of view. I'm pretty sure they're only talking to people who agree with them. Right? And it's like, it comes off as very arrogant, self-righteous, and a lot of times they're white people. The ones that I've seen. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, so we were watching it. And
That's how you know a trend is about to change.
Oh, good. That's good. And I always say you can eat cheese without crackers. But I wasted no time airing my grievances and making it known how much I hate this shit. And Sandy was like, "Do you not want to watch it?" I was like, "Oh, we can watch it. Well, I'm going to comment on it though."
Yeah. No, that's where the fun comes from, is the tension there.
Exactly.
How much is Matt gonna hate this next one? A lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the one was just a guy at his desk at work, and you could tell he was doing the TikTok in a way that his boss wouldn't hear. It was really funny.
Oh my God.
He was like,
I've been thinking. No, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, I've been thinking a hell of a lot of these trends, these like staples of YouTube and social media are people are about to get sick of them.
Now, what if Trump wins? Does it breathe new life into it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be good if it didn't.
Yeah. I think you get the victory lap bump for sure, but it's ultimately going to come down to what the kids are sick of or not. And like, you're not going to have somebody who watches guy that talks like this into the camera on his cell phone for 20 years. You can't have it. Sam Cedar's been able to have his show for as long as he's had because it works as just audio.
Yeah. That's smart. He loves to make it like a radio. So I think that there's a lot of really, really solid content that falls victim to the dreaded algorithm. I think there's a lot of horrible content that is being promoted by the algorithm, and I think the algorithm is being manipulated by billionaires.
Yes.
And so my hope is that people realize, oh God, I thought I had another paranormal event, dude. Just
I
a
heard.
cord. It was just a cord falling. Oh my god! I was like, here, and it's cicada season, so like I'm constantly seeing shit flying at me from. Oh my god! I'm just so wrecked. I'm shook. I hope people. I think there was a point where people were like, you know what? It's not reality TV. This is all bullshit. And then it's like you either tune into that stuff because you like the bullshit, or somehow you miss the memo that it's not real, right? And I
Yeah.
hope that's what people get from right wing media, right wing online media, and the
Yeah.
presence on social media. I hope that eventually people are like, this is fake, man. What are we watching this for?
I think I'm not sure if we were if this was us talking before we went live or not, but I'm just going to keep it going anyway. I'm of the belief that the way to address this is just to be frank about the victims. Like you were saying, they take advantage of lonely men, basically. I agree. And when you find out your friend is watching Joe Rogan or whatever, or who's that horrible person that kidnapped a bunch of gals? That guy,
Andrew
Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly what he is. Just like instead of saying don't watch that, just be like, oh, that guy that takes advantage of lonely men. Please tell me you're not watching. Ooh, buddy, don't let him take your money.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't say I wish I've been saying this for years because I'm a viewer of all these online shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I would like is instead of an app like TikTok where everyone gets to go for it, and I know people have tried to do this, I would like more of a network. I want to see the Rational National every morning at 9 a.m. And then I want to see the Humanist Report at 10:30 a.m. And at lunch,
yes.
I'd love to watch, what you can do. And like that, right? And in between,
Yeah.
instead of commercials, all right, 4.5 minute TikTok jerk off at his desk. I don't know, whatever, like that would be okay.
Absolutely.
But to do it for clicks, like, oh, this video I did got 500,000 views. Well, I better do a part 2. Yeah, this was not a series originally.
I think the next chain or link in this chain is going to be a decentralization for all these content creators. I think exactly what you're describing is going to happen whether people prepare for it or not. I think people will stop caring if it's on YouTube or TikTok specifically, because it'll eventually wind up on both either way. And the way to segregate what content you're getting is exactly as you describe. It's like Dropout TV already does this. They have their own little channel, and they set up their website exactly like Patreon, just without the name Patreon. Everybody's going to do that just because it's easy. And why share money if you don't have to?
Well, I would love it if, like, the leftist mafia, if they put all of that energy into that.
Yeah.
With the 4 of them or 5 of them. And then it goes, after 9 months, 12 months, they're like, okay, next we bring on people. And let's bring on the letter hack. He's doing cartoons. Let's bring on so-and-so, and they're writing articles. They have to contribute a certain amount before they get to start doing videos. We'll give them a block, a time slot. I don't know. It's just loose, but like,
sure.
Yeah, I don't know, more of a co-op. But I think that if 5 people segued, they'd take all that audience with them, and they'd be up and running in no time.
I mean, when I get to the point that I can actually keep my website up from month to month without having to go sell blood or whatever to fund the thing, we can just pop all that on whatever you want. On WYCD, we could buy a new website. They're relatively cheap, despite the fact that I keep that up. But I think, I'm so confident that you're right. I don't even consider that like a financial risk. It's the way it's got to be. Right now, YouTube
Yeah.
takes, I don't know, whatever percentage of super chats, and that I'm fine with that because they provided the infrastructure. It's just that that infrastructure is not that difficult to provide anymore. It was in 2010. Now it's
Right.
not. So
Right. I mean, LT9K saying Mike Figueredo's live right now on Twitch. Matt Bender's live right now on YouTube and Twitch.
sure.
We are covering all the airwaves all the time. People are always on. There's always something going on. There's always videos to catch up on. It's like the manager in me and my personality type, which is field marshal, is to rally and say, well, wait a second, we could work smarter, not harder. I know that's like a cliche, but it's true. We could do that.
Yeah.
And then it does become like a business at some point, and I've seen that get weird, and then, somebody wants to contribute $1 million, and then it's like, oh, you guys aren't independent grassroots anymore. It's like, well, we're business. So I don't know.
Yeah. Why would I know? I've never strived to be grassroots. Be lovely.
I do. Well, but I do think less is more. That's the guiding principle here.
Simplicity. You eat what you kill. If you get a bunch of advertisers or whatever, mazel tov. That's your show. It's the association is all that matters between people. So the only thing you'd have to decide is who gets to say if somebody can stay or go, or if you invite somebody else on.
I mean, there are methods, I guess, out there where it's like you have to get a certain number of views sustained over a certain period of time, or else you're out. I don't really know about that. It's almost like, are you contributing?
Or
sustainability. How do you define sustainability? I guess is the key. But
yeah, absolutely. You could even like do it like a comedy club where you just let the audience vote, and every month, like you're renewed every month based on the audience. We're saying like we have this many hours in the day, which means we can have this many shows. Vote for your favorite people. We're going to take the top 18. If you get big enough that that's the sort of stuff you're talking about, yeah, there's 100 ways you could do it. Absolutely. When it's, I don't want to degrade what we do. I enjoy it, but we're at a level where we can comfortably say like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. To anything.
I just wonder if those top earners, so to speak, would continue to make the same income. They would know right away if that was going to happen or not. Just based on the concept. But the way I look at it is, I see the same people giving super chats to the Vanguard, like $50 a show. I see the leftist mafia getting the same people giving super chats, like $50 a show, $20 a show. What if you were just paying $5 a month and there were no super chats? Does that eventually equal pan out? I don't know. But the point is, there's a lot of these shows. That's why I don't want to stop doing my show. I really like it, and I really like the community and everything. What I would like to do is, and I've said this before, is come up with the new project that brings everyone over from my YouTube channel. Like the way I got a lot of people from YouTube initially, or a lot of people to watch me on YouTube, is like, oh, the letter hack from Twitter is doing that thing on YouTube now. I'll go watch that. And so, I don't know. Now that I'm getting up around 3,000, maybe I could take all 3,000 of those people somewhere and then start again. I don't know.
I think there's a big enough audience on the left now that you can do a show that is that requires leftist knowledge, but you don't have to explain it. Like stuff that we take for granted that like other people don't. Like it's wrong for Israel to be doing a genocide, and it was also wrong for Hamas to order an attack on October 7th, but doesn't mean the response yada yada. You don't have to have that whole conversation with people that watch Tom Hartman's program.
Right.
I just think there's a niche there that now could be filled, like Conan O'Brien once, but or maybe that's a bad example. Anybody that has a show once a week that goes over this stuff. I think you do stuff like that, but I think that's probably the next place all this is going. Also, I think we had the luck to be in the early days. This all will be the first 20 years of social media, the early days, where you really could just have a cell phone and talk into it, and that was enough. But now, what would I point it to as an example? Now you have things like Taskmaster Minnesota, which is not officially Taskmaster. It's just somebody that decided to do the same game show, but in Minnesota. And they do it in an auditorium, and they actually have a live studio audience. And it's with a goose egg budget, no budget at all. Because, again, I can't stress enough, they are not professionals. But they put that extra effort into it, and I think that's got to happen.
It makes me think of when Kramer found Merv Griffin's studio out at the dumpster and put it in his apartment and just started doing the Merv Griffin show from his apartment.
I think that's the next step. I think you're going to see. Yeah.
Well, and somebody said, I lost it in the chat, but they said, how about going on Twitch, Matt? Now, I'm not talking about another platform where I do the same thing. I'm talking about doing this plus something different. And bringing the audience to an all-new venue and platform and medium, you know?
I've got to come back because I miss my show, but B, like, now is the time. Not effing around, like, things are happening in the world that require us to get our shit together and address it.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
The means for the show has got to change. So I'm consider in my opinion, you're one of the savviest people working right now. So
I agree.
So by all means, if you have ideas that seems interesting, audience, if you have ideas for ways like once a week style shows that you'd want to see, yeah, let me know. We'll tour them. We'll try them out.
Oh,
I tell you, I really want to do Diversity Squad, though, even just once.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so good. People would be so awkward. They would hate doing it so much. You get an Asian guy on, and you're like, all right, we don't have any black people here. Try to appeal to black people. And just watch them be like, come on.
I don't know.
The movies of... Yeah, see? You get terrified.
No, I think that's
Try
a bad
to appeal
idea.
to women. Oh yeah. But I think it would be bad in a hilarious to watch crash kind of way.
Maybe.
And everybody's gonna err on the side of being too nice, and then they're gonna get heckled by the audience.
You gonna have celebrities on there?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see who has the balls.
I'm trying to get an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis. That's never gonna happen.
You got it.
I can't get
if anybody
Goodman.
could pull it off, it'd be you.
I don't know about that.
See if she wants to do Diversity Squad.
She wrote a comic book that I just recommended.
I'm Googling it. I'm sure you're gonna tell me what it is, but I want to see the cover.
Called Mother Nature by Jamie Lee Curtis and Russell Goldman, and adapted and illustrated by Carl Stevenson. Or Stevens. He's an award-winning New Yorker cartoonist.
It looks like a proper comic book, too.
And it's a horror story. The movie is being done now.
Oh, of course.
And they put the graphic novel out ahead of time. She came up with the idea when she was 19. There's a cool interview in the back of the book. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a horror. I was reading it like, oh, damn. And there was a couple of moments where I was like, whoa.
Are we talking like Carrie mixed with whatever 2012?
Well, okay. The premise is, and they had a lot of consultants from the indigenous community, but this indigenous girl's father is killed in an apparent accident by the oil company that he worked for, and she grows up vandalizing and sabotaging their outfit, and eventually uncovers an ancient spirit. And I mean, they call the book Mother Nature, but it ends up it was awesome. I was like, holy shit, this is gory. It's great. And the watercolors, like you saw it, they're really beautiful to look at, but like then it takes a turn and you're like, oh my God. Anyway, I was
I think
like,
I have
oh, maybe I can
seen.
get her on here.
You probably could.
I don't
This
know.
is this lines up so well with what you do. I mean,
I've got
you
like
probably could.
I was counting the other day, and it's just summer. This always happens. I heard Sam Cedars say, I don't know what it is, but like January, February is peak interview request responses.
Huh.
In the summer, it's warm. People are on vacation. They just don't want to
Yeah.
work. I counted 23 invites that I had out.
You
And
should.
like 3 people have gotten back to me. One tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, June's going to be okay. We'll have interviews in June. But I was like, damn, this is brutal.
You gotta have me on as your backup interview guest, but just like have the run-on joke be like it's me pretending either to be the original person that you wanted to get on, or like I'm selling a new product every time.
You should just be the resident expert about them, whoever the
Oh
guest was
yes,
supposed to be. So it's
yes,
like,
yes,
we
yes.
couldn't get our guest, but here's Jake to tell us everything he knows about Jamie Lee Curtis. And then it's just you reading Wikipedia.
Did you
and,
know
and
that
I'm
her
like, who
dad
wrote
was
that?
Tony Curtis?
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. And her mom was the ape from King Kong.
That's awesome. I think that that has legs. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I do have some interesting comic book guests coming on. I'm very, very
What you
excited
got?
about that. Lawrence Campbell, finally got him. He is a rock star comic book creator, just
Give
amazing,
me some
amazing
titles.
artist. He did the BPRD and Hellboy stuff for a long
Ooh.
time. He was my favorite BPRD artist. He's got a book out now called The One Hand. He's always like wrapping up a project and starting another one right away. But as far as like the
Wow.
Hellboy universe goes, he's a fan favorite. And then
I mean, with BPRD, there's a lot of kits met there.
yeah, totally. But Matt Bors and Ben Clarkson, you know Matt Bors of Mr. Gotcha, the
No,
nib.
actually,
If you saw
nah.
it, you'd be like, "Oh, that
Is it BOHRS?
BORS."
Then no, I don't.
You could look up
Unfortunately.
Mr. Gotcha. But it's like one of the longest running internet comics of all time. He did it for 19 years. But
Huh.
those guys have a new comic out. It's volume 2 of a new comic, and when the first one came out, they were like NPR, Chapo Trap House. Everyone was interviewing about it. So I jumped on volume 2. That'll be out next week. And and Eddie On. You're not gonna know who that is. I did an interview with a guy who's been an activist since the 80s, 1980, and I recommended a book to him called Advocate by an actual nonprofit director who talks about immigration, racism, running a nonprofit, working for a nonprofit, like through high school and college and all. It's his whole story. He made his own story into a comic.
Huh.
So he's coming on.
Nice.
I got him coming on.
That'll be interesting, man.
Yeah, it's like
That'll
the
be cool.
perfect thing. But I've been making comics. And that's like all when I'm like, okay, everyone knows I've done creative writing. yeah, it's real easy for me to do creative writing and still do the show. But when I'm doing comics, I suddenly only care about that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I got to hurry up and get it done so that I can go back to being enthusiastic about everything else. It's not fair.
God.
But anyway, is there anything like going on in the world that you're upset about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The general existence of Trump supporters perplexes me and infuriates me because they're victimizing everybody but ultimately themselves, and I just keep looking at historically how frankly these people have always existed, and they are most prevalent in the 1860s when they are fighting and dying to keep others oppressed. I don't even remember who said this, but there's some wise lady who said that in order to hold somebody else down, you got to put your hand down and keep it there. So some part of you must stay down, and you cannot soar. And she was talking about these people exactly. They keep themselves down while holding others down, and it's all to the benefit of people that hate all of us. And I am constantly struggling with whether to just throttle them or try again to talk to them. Because the first one is not a thing you can actually do but once, and then you spend the rest of your life in prison. There's really only the other option, which is try to talk to these big, dumb idiots. But I have this feeling about it, so I can't.
Well,
because I keep calling them big, dumb idiots.
I fucking moved here.
Yeah, I know. I know.
They,
I don't know how you can stand it.
Well, I run toward fire, but they Batman. But they and really it's not that bad. I mean, the way people vote is not how they live their everyday lives, which is a problem if you ask me.
Yes.
But they did an interview on the Majority Report in the last 30 days with a guy who wrote a book about this. Maybe it was just an article. I feel like it was a book. But like, what was it called? There's a certain name, and I was like, oh shit, that's where I live. There, like how everyone, the Great White Flight, when white people left the cities for the suburbs, and then when people of color moved into the suburbs, some of them left again to these fringe areas, and so you get these like really small pockets of like a really small population of people in a really small town on the edge of a suburb.
The
You know what I mean?
douchiest of douchebags. Yeah.
It's called, I forget what it's called, but I live in one of those.
Ugh.
They all did it in the 90s. And they were apparently identified by this author as MAGA predating Trump. He's like,
Yeah.
they were just trying to retreat. It wasn't flight. They were just trying to retreat back into something that was safe and the same. But
That's
yeah,
flight.
yeah,
That's
you're right.
fleeing.
But then what did he call them? I forget what he called the cities. Anyway, oh yeah, the exurbs. Was that it? The exurbs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that.
Anti-corporatist. I think you're confusing Batman with a fireman, Matt. No, well, I mean, I run towards smoke in the hopes there's a fire because I'm going to rescue people. I got no business putting out fires. So
Problem is, I keep trying to just hold them in the flames.
well, some of them.
It doesn't help anybody. I just burn my foot.
Okay, so I'm trying to come up with a term that explains not being surprised but continually shocked at the world. Right? Like
there's a need for that phrase.
Like I'm always like, I am shocked that this is, but I shouldn't be surprised. Like I can't even finish my thought without saying, why am I surprised? And
I'm constantly disappointed that I'm not surprised.
Somebody said being not being surprised and being disappointed are separate things. And so what I can't wrap my head around this week It's these fuckers that say Trump is like Jesus and that he's
Yeah.
literally being nailed to the cross right now. And this isn't like a one-off comment that the media runs with. This is a lot of people are like, he's being persecuted. He didn't do anything wrong. They just right away are like, there's no way he did anything wrong. And it's like, he did though. It's a hush money trial. And they'll go on, you'll see on Fox News, they're just talking about it's all Stormy Daniels' fault for sleeping with him. It's like, no. He paid her with campaign money. That's illegal.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. I mean, why even try to defend? It's fucking illegal. Okay, so that's one aspect. But then these people who are like, they're trying to take our savior away from us. It's the most absurd shit.
No faster way to convince me that you are not a Christian than to try
and you haven't ever read the Bible and probably didn't even hear anybody read it to you, right?
and whether or not you even really understand the Bible, you definitely don't believe in it because you're making stuff up. You're making stuff up, and you didn't write the Bible.
Yeah.
So if you're making stuff up, then this religion is not actually important to you as anything other than an excuse to do the things you want. That's what the religion is.
Why?
That infuriates me.
Because cults are a thing. People always fall for this. And, hopefully there's deprogramming later on, but one of the most annoying things I ever heard is, because I get it. People end up in a cult and they're like, oh shit, I'm in a cult. How did I get in this cult? Okay, that happens. Fine, I can accept that. But I was watching this show about, what was that cult that was like a really hard to pronounce word? I think it was just Z, but it was like spelled XXZ, Roman numeral V1 or some shit. But anyway, it's the docuseries about it starts out with one of their former members who I think is just trying to profit from having been in a cult. She's got the book and everything. But she said, I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know anything about the people involved or leading it. All I knew is I wanted in. And it's like, wait a second. Why did you want to be a part of something you knew absolutely? It's like, hey, I don't know anything about this thing. I don't know anyone involved, but I'm going. Do you want to go? Fuck yes. Like, who does that? There's got to be. So hold on. There's bound to be something else going on that you are into, which you could go, or that you've always wanted to be into, and now you can go check out. That's going on too. No, you want to do this thing you know nothing about? You probably deserve to be in a cult. But these people are looking at somebody who's clearly had a lifetime of privilege and getting away with it. How many fucking headlines are we seeing every day that say judge is starting to get annoyed with this witness tampering stuff? And it's like,
considering the possibility of perhaps clearing their throat in his general vicinity. I think the answer to the why Trump is the same reason there are Michiganders who will occasionally wear a Confederate flag unless they come across this Lithuanian. Michigan fought the rebel scum and sent them to hell where they belong. And if there is a righteous God, they still suffer. But you'll find fools around here wearing that because they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And that's what Trump is. If you put on a MAGA hat, you're telling everybody you're a proud villain. And that's what you mean to say. You don't have the courage to say it. You can't actually say, I want to say cruel things about gay people and Asian people and Arab people. But even though I lack the courage to announce that directly, I'll put this on, and you have to pretend to respect it like it's a political opinion. I'm going to hide behind that mother's skirt. That's what I think Trump is. He was obviously evil from the start. That's what they like about him. He was obnoxious and they want this is 70 million people who are in the middle of a tantrum, and they are horrible people by and large, in my opinion. They're bad people that don't care that their tantrum is A, not actually going to help them, and B, an appeal to them is that it's going to hurt and has hurt many, many other people. They like that because they where they should have a conscience and a sense of right and wrong, they instead have a 7-Eleven big gulp full of warm Mountain Dew.
Eloquently put.
I'm sorry. I'm in such a pissy mood about these people. I'm in a low place when it comes to America. I want to love America again, but we're in like the 364th session of marriage counseling, and I don't feel it.
Yeah. Speaking of the Civil War, I recently watched a debate between I always forget this other David Swanson and Jared Ball. They hosted it on Black Power Media. And the debate was, can wars be justified? And Jared Ball was saying, yeah, violence and war gonna have to do that, have had to do that. I wish we didn't, but we do. The Civil War had to be fought. And David Swanson was saying, no, it didn't. It would have cost a lot less money to settle it financially than to fight. And he was saying it very reasonably, and he believe me, covered all the bases with the time he had in a way that you wouldn't be like, fuck this guy, right? It was okay. He was making the case. Very intelligently. But fuck that.
Yeah. You don't get a reward for keeping a man in chains and firing on Fort Sumter after
He said, well, I just don't think that would have worked. His argument
they would have grabbed another group of folks and said, all right, pay us for these. Now we're in the kidnapping business.
Yeah. And he was like, look, even after the war, you had Jim Crow and all these years, and then eventually civil rights, and it's still a problem. And it was like, okay, but hold on. There's no one solution that's going to make any of that go away. I mean, you're talking about a lot of time. I thought it was kind of naive. Like I could see that's the only way you're going to make the argument is the way he made it. I encourage everyone to check it out. It's called Debate, Can Wars Be Justified? It's on Black Power Media. You can go watch it right now. It's not very long. It's about an hour.
I would like to see that. Because I'm sure I'm going to end up still disagreeing with the man's points, but it sounds interesting. And it's an interesting angle to look at it from, and I'd like to be challenged on that.
Yeah, and
it sounds intriguing.
It's actually more like an hour and 45 minutes, but I'm a big fan of Jared Ball. And he had this one point where he always says these really cool things, and I can't articulate it the same way. He said, I'm glad that I'm mad. I'm glad that I'm not always happy, because we need to be upset about some of this stuff. And there are, the colonizers haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And if it's not affecting you, it's affecting everybody else. So I don't know. Anyway, that made me think of it when you brought up the Civil War and the Confederate flag. And there's one Confederate flag down here. It's huge. It's in somebody's front yard right on this one highway. And every time I drive by it, I'm like, it's getting like more and more tattered. Like, do you give a fuck about that thing up there? There's one house. It's wild. This is like 10 miles south. It's covered in Trump and Confederate flag and white supremacist stuff. And it says something like, there's like a sign that says something like, this is Confederate land or something like that. Now it's like, I wonder I feel like that should be illegal in the South the way Nazi stuff is illegal in
Yeah,
Germany. Know what I
yeah, it
mean?
should.
Like
100%. You
that's not states'
that
rights
flag.
anymore.
Yeah, like I don't know that you can have a flag that says like all black people need to be in chains. You know,
Right.
that's what that flag says.
They're like, no,
like
Duke's
so
a hazard.
every every American that's black that drives by that has to then like
Yep.
deal with the consequences of that. I'm not I genuinely and boy, I might be reflecting privilege here, but I genuinely don't know how I feel about whether or not that should be legal. But I'll say this, if it were made illegal, I used to say I'd fight to the death for somebody's right to say anything. Not anymore. Nope.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I've
though,
seen
is,
what we are.
You know, they always use the excuse, the First Amendment or freedom of speech. That's the
Yeah.
excuse.
They hide behind stronger, better men and women who actually care about principles. They hide behind people who are better than them. But they don't actually believe in those things. If somebody put up a flag that said Arab people are human beings and they had the opportunity to make that illegal, they'd take it. So this scum I'm about ready to deal with however we deal with them. You know, it sounds darker than I intended. I mean, I'm just sick of babying them and pretending like we're having equally mature conversations with them as with everybody else. They're the worst of us, the absolute worst. And I'm ready to grow up in the eyes of the world.
I gotta read a super chat.
Please do.
We can talk about it.
No. Oh, the super chat. Yes, please.
Yeah. Looney Tunes, 9,000. $1.99. Thank you very much. Never fall for the fucking Christian cult. Now, the Christian cult, I agree. That never fall for anything. Never allow yourself to be duped. If you want to be a member of the Christian faith, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just leave me out of it. But the cult is, if I take your meaning, is the distortion of the faith. And if people are using that as a means to dupe people into, I don't know, votes or coughing up cash, that's a problem.
Yeah, the con artists that use Christianity in the same way they'll use your love of your family against you. They'll call you up and say, we got your kid in prison here and you've got to pay bail to get him out. Wire us the money. He's in Ecuador. They do the same thing with pretending to be a sect of Christianity. There was one near my neck of the woods. We talked about it a couple of shows back. The Faith Militant, I think they call themselves. Yeah, they're cults and they are faux Christians. They're not. They don't believe. I'm convinced that none of the people that run these things actually even believe in God.
Absolutely
They're so
true.
fast and loose with it.
And there's a huge distinction between spread the good news, he is risen, and everyone needs to believe what we say. Like,
yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
You guys can have your faith and leave me. And if, you can't force me to believe what you believe. Oh, but there's consequences if I don't. Go fuck yourself. I mean, bring on the consequences. I always tell my wife I'd be terrible in a hostage situation. When we're watching
just be like, do it.
When we're watching it in a movie, I'm like, oh, I'd be dead by now. I wouldn't put up with any of that shit. They would have put bamboo under my nails. They would have killed me a long time ago.
You and I would both immediately die in a bank robbery or hostage situation. You, because you'd be brave and maybe try to help people or stop the bad guys. and me because they'd shout orders and I'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
And I
No,
just
yeah.
like immediately not understand what was happening. I wouldn't click that I'm in the middle of something right now, and I'd be like, "What's that?" And then my brains are all over the wall.
I jump in
You
front
try
of
to
you.
avenge me.
I'd
Oh yeah,
catch a
you jump in
bullet.
front of
Yeah.
me and you die. And I'm like, "Oh, did you fall?" And then I die because I still didn't get down. And then we're in line to hell, and you're like,
Oh,
"I gave you an out."
I was only saving you so you would learn from this moment and do better. But how do you feel like yeah, I just imagine being like, keep quiet or you're a dead man. I'd be like, fuck you. It'd be my first reaction. I wouldn't even hesitate.
Oh,
Be like,
you
fuck
get shot. I'm like,
yourself."
"Oh, your gun went off. I think it got him."
Okay, I saw
For the
man, what was
record,
this? What?
I want to brag about this because I won't be able to, and the conversation must move on. But I am literally going to be spending not this Sunday, but next Sunday in the parking lot of a Detroit church because a buddy's. I don't believe in any of that mess, but a buddy who does is sick of cars getting stuff stolen from there. So your old pal Jake is going to be posted up watching those. Atheist and Christian Alliance, my friends, we can help each other. But stay away from those cult nonsense, please.
So I was watching this show. It's this British investigator show, like cop. It's called Vera. It's about this. That's the main character's name. And
sounds familiar.
I mean, it's on like season 20 something, and I'm back on season 3. And I was like, I'm catching up. It's so good. It doesn't feel dated at all. But there was an episode where these teenage girls got kidnapped, and one of them is being kept in a van, and it's like parked in this garage or warehouse.
Okay.
And I was like, I said, haha, that would be their mistake trying to put me in a van. And she's like, my wife's like, what? How are you getting out of that? It's locked. And I was like, I'll rock it back and forth till it falls over. And she's like, from inside? And I was like, hell yeah. And she's like, no, you won't. I was like, yeah, I will. And she's like, how?
We're renting a van.
You don't think it's possible?
No, I just want her to get fed up and be like, all right, let's see. I got to know. I have to know.
So what I would do is I would start by standing in the middle, because I've thought about it. I'm not exactly sure where to start from, but I would stand in the middle and just throw my full weight into one side.
Okay.
And then I would go to the other side. It might not make sense to start from one side and go to the other, because I think you could be more forceful with shorter distance. But I'm pretty sure if I just slam into each side back and forth.
Each side.
Yeah.
And then tip.
It's eventually going to tip. And if it doesn't, they'll be like, this guy is making wages. We got to kill him. And either way.
And you hear the other person they kidnapped in this episode of Vera, and it's just a muffled, oh, I think your gun went off.
Yeah, look, new segment.
You keep getting us.
That's great.
To counter that, let me throw this at you. I used to do something called van surfing. That's when we'd take a van that had no back seats, and one person would stand up in the back, and the winner would be the last person standing in the back. But the point is, you would drive around on dirt roads and swish it back and forth as much as you could. And you tried to stay on your feet, hence surfing. There was a lot of flopping there, and I never felt like we were going to tip. But even as I'm saying that, I'm realizing we weren't trying, and you're describing intentionally. I kind of want to know now.
The equilibrium of a van. It's top heavy.
I would also pay $100. I might have to pay an entire security deposit, though, which is why I don't think I have the balls to go through with this. But here's the thing that might make this irrelevant. What happens after it tips? How do you then escape?
I fucked up their van. I'm not trying to escape. They're not driving that thing out of there unless they get it back up.
Sure.
I'm just trying to.
But
You think
I
you got
mean,
me trapped and I can't cause you problems? Watch me flip this van.
that's
I'm
a
just being a
problem.
jerk of a hostage,
Fair. Fair.
right? You're
There,
not going to want
it
me.
lowers
I'm the
your
worst
price.
hostage.
At
Well,
a minimum,
they'll
they're
probably let me
they're
go.
trying to, yeah, they're trying to move that product. They're like, this has become a liability. What's his wife offering? $75? Jesus. Does she
The-
have it on her?
there are a number of situations where people just they could escape and they're like, no, look, this is my exact strategy. That's it's sheer force of will. But there are a number of situations in TV and movies where people could get out and they could get away, but they're scared of the consequences. The consequences
Mm.
are that you're going to be kidnapped and held hostage. That
Yeah.
you cannot take away my freedom. Vixi liber et moriar. I was born and shall die free. That's the Annapolis City motto, by the way. I have a tattoo
Fair
on
enough.
my arm. But there's you are not restraining me. That's the worst thing you can do is restrain me. That's why I'm saying you have to take me out because I'm not putting up with this shit. They'll be like,
I mean,
he's unreasonable. It's an untenable
mean-
situation because he's such a dick about it.
here's the thing that's concerning me though. You're
Yeah.
saying all this stuff on the internet. So
Do you think there are
presumably-
hostages out there listening right now?
No, I think your future kidnappers are listening. So presumably they're preparing for all of this. They're like, okay, step 1, we know no vans. Step 2, we know he's going to be scrapping the whole time. So we're going to need that straitjacket and those zip ties and maybe
I
some
think-
knockout gas.
I think it's no. I think they just would not take me hostage. I think they'd be like, I think if people knew me and heard me say this and they were doing like a kidnapping in a line of people, they'd be like, duck, duck, goose. They'd be like, not this guy.
You see, here's how I'm taking
You
you
can go.
hostage. Here's how. No, I take it back. Here's how I'm ransoming you. See, now I know this. I know
Okay.
it's fruitless. I'm sending you
You
on
say-
vacation.
Yeah.
I'm
we won't
surprising
kill
you.
him. We will not
Yeah.
kill him. You'll all
Yeah,
get him back unless you pay us. And they'll
100%. There's got to be a hole in your schedule where you could conceivably go spend a weekend somewhere. I'm saying I'm showing up at your house or someplace that you are when your wife is not present with a fake mustache, so you don't know it's me. And I'm handing you a thing saying it's a surprise gift from your wife. You and the fellas are going on a trip to Hawaii over the weekend. Soon as I get confirmation that your flight has left, I'm calling the wife and saying, we got him. He's here. He flipped our van, but we made do.
I like
It's one Hawaii ticket plus $1,000.
I like the fake mustache over the real mustache part of
Yes.
this scheme. Anti-corporatists is saying like they will inflict enough violence on me that I'll be submissive. That's what I said at first. They're going to do the bamboo under. They're going to skip right to the worst thing they can think of.
Yeah.
Because you know how it always goes in these situations is they're like, we'll start by threatening. And then we'll show him the electrical cables. And then we'll do it on like a test subject.
I
and
was
show
gonna
'em
say,
how it
I'd love it
works.
if they just keep torturing the shit out of me to be like, this is what we'll do to you. And I'm just like,
And
well,
I'm like,
do it
I
then.
don't give a
Do it
fuck.
to
You
him.
can all go to hell.
I
but
did
then-
everything you know.
What in my situation, they'll be like, okay, he's unruly. They'll go straight to the worst thing.
By the time they go to battery your nuts, the battery's already dead. They're like, all right, we're gonna charge it up, but then you're gonna get it every bad as this goofy guy whose nuts we burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
We got to go charge this golf cart battery.
I just refuse to be like, look, I'm pretty chill guy. I do not have to be. And I actually worked at this for a lot of years. I really put a lot of effort into being like pretty reserved and even keeled. It's not too far beneath the surface is the old Matt that's like popping off all the time, just wants to rage nonstop.
I'm thoroughly
That's the,
convinced.
I'll go Hulk on him.
I think you have the right of it. I think most likely you die a glorious death. But I will say this: small chance that you pull out maybe a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 times victory. In which case, you never pay for another drink again. You have the most
Right?
interesting bar story. Worth it.
And
Worth the
it's
risk,
like-
in my opinion.
They're like, so the kidnappers took you away in a helicopter? Yep. And then
But I
you
rocked.
crashed the helicopter. Yeah.
Like,
How'd you
Bane.
live? It wasn't part of the plan, but I did. So I'm glad I did it in hindsight. But that's the other thing. It's like, well, you got my hands tied behind my back. I can kick the pilot. I can throw myself around this helicopter and knock it off balance so we go straight down. Let's fucking go.
I
You're
do
not
like they're
taking me
not going to
anywhere.
plan for some of that stuff. Like
Better not go out
they're,
over water. I'll just
they're
jump.
not going to be ready for a lot of that wilder stuff.
Mayhem.
They're going to be operating under the assumption, like an oubliette, that you will just have too much self-preservation to go for it. I love it.
Yeah, it's like, no, he should be really scared right now. Man, fuck you. I'm not scared. That's the other thing is my fear is of being restrained and locked away. No,
Oh,
I'm not
God.
I'm not
So
getting
you got
there.
extra motivation. Then.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be worse than something I actively fear. So let's have a nice clean death, gentlemen.
And wouldn't it
I'm
be
assuming-
fun to just nag them? Right? Make fun of the hostage takers and the
Yeah.
kidnappers and like
Yeah.
tease them and pit them
I'm of
against
the
each other.
same belief with the kidnapping as I am with the draft. Like if I get drafted, God help the U.S. Army. If I get drafted, I got to show up legally, but I believe that I have the right to complain. I'll do the push-ups, but I'll be like,
No,
ugh,
I always thought
ugh.
they'd be like, all right, you're in the army now, son. Come get your shots. I'm like, shots? Where's my gun? I'm ready. Let's shot him. They'll be like, okay, hold on. No, we're just
gonna
going to give
be-
you vaccines.
At training with the giant gun range earmuffs on, still going, ah. God, it's loud. It's
Oh,
hot
man.
out too. It's so hot.
That's something I don't think I could do is dodge a draft. I think they'd be like, okay. Yeah,
No,
we're not
but
buying
if you
this."
get drafted, I feel that you should legally have the right to bitch about it the entire time. Can't bitch if you volunteered, but you can. That's just
Look
my
at this.
stipulation.
Which part is male privilege? Which part?
I don't
That's
know.
not all you're going to say about it. Please elaborate. Are you talking about me
Oh,
crashing the helicopter?
Because I'm inserting myself into this joint situation. My death during that particular kidnapping is as they are trying to load us both into the helicopter, and they say, "Watch your head," and I go, "What?" And then you guys get neck blood all over you, and that's it.
Your death scenes are hilarious. Very Monty
I don't make it
Python.
through most of these.
What
It's
I'm
just to
trying to
establish.
say is, if anyone ever tried to like think that they were just going to casually kidnap me and get away with
No.
it, they're wrong. I'll do everything I can till they're like, okay, it didn't work. Take them out.
This is too much.
Let's rethink our lives, and maybe they will. They're
I
like,
it
yeah.
ends up having a happy ending. They're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna open a sandwich shop. Kill him first, but then sandwich shop.
Yeah, remember that time we tried to kidnap that guy? That didn't go well. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we don't do that anymore.
Still taste neck blood in my mouth.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know, man. We're at it's 11 p.m. on the East Coast.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, gang. I have been a negative Nancy of late. Getting my steam back, Pinkerbell.
Still riding the
Donald James
wicked
X.
wave back to sanity.
Thank you. Thank you. I had to get squared away. Sorry, but still doing the show. It's just going to be hopefully lesser or less frequent, but significantly better.
I
One hopes.
I already revealed to Jake that I had this all queued up. We'll just hold on.
Well, do you know what would be a perfect use of that?
What? Oh, asshole. I knew it. Nah, I didn't know it. It's always good to say, I knew it. I knew it. Then you can just walk away knowing that at least 50% of the people that heard you say, I knew it, believe you. And the other 50 are just skeptical. But anyway, I had a story for Jake. I was going to tell him. I was in the bank earlier today. I was dressed kind of nice. I didn't have a tie on, but I did have a jacket on. And somebody thought I worked there. It was funny. This little old lady came up to me and said, could you help me check my balance? And I was like, huh? Oh, I don't work here. Because I had to recall, like, I'm sitting there wearing clothes. I look like I work there. She was like, could you help me check my balance? I said, ma'am, I don't work here. She said, just help me check my balance. I was like, all right, fine. So I pushed her over. Just wanted to clarify, I did not push an old lady over. Now, if she tried to kidnap me,